Chapter 9 First and Second Meetings 17th day, the second month, 698th year. Dragatu made his routine trip to the hills and checked the water source. All was working well, and he walked out of the canyon and turned north, rubbing his arms to fight off the spring morning chill. This is it, he thought. Time to go further north than I ever have by myself. A slight twitch of his hand betrayed his nerves. He slung his bow over his shoulder, kept the two knives loose on his belt, and walked cautiously northward. Another birthday had come and gone, and he had grown a lot in the last couple of years. His once naive, youthful dream of revenge, quashed by fear, had now become his only desire. All he wanted was to kill the wolf. When he returned, having slaughtered the beast, no one would doubt his strength, and maybe the nightmares would stop too. Dragatu continued to walk, automatically scanning the forest as he went. What's that? He thought, suddenly stopping and focusing on a tree. That can't be one of mine. He walked over to the tree and ran his fingers over the cut of an arrowhead in the wood, sap bleeding down the bark. His mouth tightened into a frown. It's fresh. Who could have done this? His eyes left the mark, but his fingers still rubbed the groove. He scanned from the direction the arrow must have come to the direction it had gone. Footprints. His hand dropped from the tree as he walked towards them. He crouched and lightly touched the prints. They were fresh. Close to them were the tracks of a stag, and a big one at that. Could someone else be hunting here? Dragatu shook his head in disbelief and studied the prints again. Pushing aside his desire to hunt the wolf, he decided to track this mysterious hunter. He followed the trail, seeing a few more arrow marks nicked in the bark of trees. After half an hour, he came to a clearing. There, in the middle, was the owner of the prints. Dragatu stared in disbelief. Crouched over a large stag was a thin but athletic girl, with long blonde hair tied back into a ponytail. She was pulling an arrow out of the stag. Dragatu stepped forward, and a twig snapped under his foot. The girl moved with lightning-quick agility, doing two things simultaneously. She finished pulling out the arrow with one hand, and with the other grabbed the bow that lay at her side. She spun a half rotation, joining the two parts together, and stopped, ready to fire. Her face screwed up, then went flat and motionless, her bow still ready and pointing at Dragatu. 5 long seconds passed, in which they tried to read each other. Finally, Dragatu raised his hands and took another step forward. Are you going to shoot me? She lowered the bow slightly, and Dragatu continued to step forward. What are you doing here? He blurted. She looked at him, then at the stag. Hunting, obviously. For the first time in his life, Dragatu felt very small. Sorry, yes, of course, you are. You hunt well, he added after the initial stumble. It must have been hard to stalk that stag. As he said this, she lowered the bow completely. Dragatu was now halfway to her, but decided not to get any closer. It was easy enough, she replied. The arrow marks he had seen told him otherwise, but this wasn't the time to be contradicting her. It's for my food supplies, but I'm hoping to hunt something bigger. Dragatu was impressed by her confidence. What's your name? He asked. I'm Freta, she said formally, then turned to the stag, pulled some rope from her pack, and tied the hind legs together before dragging it to a tree. Dragatu felt a bit awkward and unsure what to do. He watched as Freta threw the rope over a branch and hoisted up the deer, letting it dangle in the air. She drew her knife and cut the stag's throat. Dragatu was fascinated by her strength and skill. As the stag was being bled, he managed to gain some courage and introduce himself. I'm Dragatu, by the way. She looked at him, her eyes dropping to his feet and working their way to his head, and then back down again. Dragatu was unsure if he was being sized up for a fight. He certainly felt that way. Nothing was said, and she went back to the stag. Once more, Dragatu felt awkward. It was time to leave. He turned to go, but Freta spoke. Where are you from? Dragatu paused hesitantly, turned back to face her. The nation, to the south of here, across the desert. She laughed. What's so funny? He asked hotly, his patience wearing thin. Her laughter faded, but it still laced her words. Of course you're from the nation. Have you ever met anyone who wasn't? Her words were so patronizing, and Dragatu started to dislike her. There were only a few things that kept him there. His pride, his respect for her hunting prowess, and maybe her good looks. She She rephrased her question slowly, as though he was a child. Where in the nation? The rich part. She frowned and turned up her nose. What was that for? He asked. All the people in the rich part think too highly of themselves. You have it easy, while so many have to work hard all day, like my father. Things have improved, thanks to the water project. It was some of the rich people who helped that come about, wasn't it? I guess, she said dismissively, but that was only a few of them. It was only because of Eunyalus and his brothers that it happened. Dragatu bit his tongue and managed to turn his frustration into a sort of condescending laugh. Why are you laughing? She asked. I know the brothers you speak of. I hope they have had a good influence on you, she said, looking him up and down again with a raised eyebrow. They certainly have. I can promise you that. And why is that? Dragatu laughed inside at his little game. I'm one of the brothers. She looked at him inquisitively, and then her demeanour relaxed a little. I'm sorry, Dragatu, she said, smiling for the first time. If I have been rude, then please forgive me. I get defensive around strangers, especially if they come from the rich area. She let go of the stag and walked over to her pack while she spoke. I've watched my father work hard all his life at the ore pits, and I hate the inequality. I get angry and jealous. I know I shouldn't. She pulled the cloth from her pack and wiped the blade, pausing as she did. Dragatu continued to wait and listen, stunned by the way she spoke so freely now. This is why I hunt here, she continued as she put the cloth beside her pack and checked her arrows and bow, so I can bring good food to my father. The food we have in the ore pits isn't the best. The meat here is fresh, tender, succulent, and we trade some of it for the things we need. Dragatu couldn't help but put aside his previous defensiveness. I'm sorry you've had a difficult life, he began. I've spent a lot of time at the ore pits and tried to help out. I'm surprised I haven't seen you. I live on the far east side of the pits, Freta replied. Ah, that's why, Dragatu said. I'm usually close to the nation. I'm sorry I've never ventured further east. We make do, she said, becoming slightly defensive again. Dragatu decided this was probably a good time to say goodbye. Well, I'm going to go continue my hunt. I'm sure I'll see you some other time. He was already thinking about visiting her at the ore pits when he got back. Oh, okay, she said, her face dropping a little. Goodbye, she added, and began walking back to the stag. Dragatu turned, took 2 steps forward, and froze. A chilling sound locked his feet to the ground. The sound was deeper than he remembered. Was that a wolf? Freta asked, looking to him with a mixture of curiosity and fear. The question slapped him out of the shock. Suddenly, all his senses were alert. He tried to focus on the direction of the sound as it faded, scanning the perimeter, thinking fast. He must have caught the scent of the stag, Dragatu thought with excitement. This is it. It is a wolf, isn't it? Freta said. And why is it that 1 second you look petrified, and now you are happy? There's no time to explain, Dragatu said, his words almost too fast to understand. You need to get out of the valley. I'm not going anywhere. Whatever that was, I wouldn't go hunting it alone. If that's what you are thinking. Dragatu let out an exasperated sigh. I have to hunt and kill the wolf. It killed my father. I can't have you around, distracting me or getting in the way. The two of us could kill it together, she suggested, a hint of excitement in her own voice. No, he said suddenly. I go alone. And with that he began to run northwest in the direction of the howl. After a short distance, he realized she was running behind him. He glanced back. She had her bow over her shoulder, arrows in a quiver, and a knife on her belt. You don't want to do this. Go south. She didn't reply and kept running. His hand twitched again, but this time with anger, and he flexed both his hands. She's going to get in the way. He couldn't do anything to stop her, though, and focused on listening. No follow-up howl came as they continued to run. Finally, in frustration, he lost his temper. When he turned around, he was ready to explode, but then he saw the determination in her face. You're not going to leave me, are you? He asked, his anger deflating. Freta shook her head defiantly. Fine, he said, giving in. Just try not to slow me down. Ha! It's you that's slowing me down. Freta cheekily smirked, and Dragatu shook his head with amusement, and they continued to run between the trees. Suddenly they halted. There were tracks. They were massive, and Freta gasped. See, Dragatu said, you should have gone home. Is it really wise for the two of us to hunt it? Greta replied. We could come back with more hunters and kill it. No, Dragato said loudly, rejecting such an idea with all his heart and mind. This is the first time I've heard it since it killed my father. I can't let it get away. I have to kill it. If you're afraid, then go home. I'm not leaving you to get yourself killed, she replied. With two of us, we will have a better chance. Letting out a growl of frustration, Dragato continued to run, following the tracks. It wasn't long before they realized they were slowly circling back. A familiar howl then erupted from the direction they had come. Clever beast, Dragato thought, and his mind raced, trying to think the best way to continue this hunt. Okay, maybe two people will be good, he began, looking at Freta. You need to run northeast, then cut south to meet me back at the clearing where we left the stag. I think the wolf has taken advantage of the free meal. I'll go southeast and then cut north. This way we can attack the wolf from both sides. Freta nodded, checked her hunting gear quickly, and then ran. It worked, Dragato thought. By the time she gets to the wolf, I will have killed it. When she was out of sight, he ran in a direct line towards the clearing.